Hey guys, Jacob Dupre here at Sweetwater. I want to follow up on that left hand piano pattern video I did with some right hand patterns so you can see what I was doing with the other hand. So here we go. The first left-hand pattern in the left-hand video I did was this kind of Billy Joel pop progression, which is just going through some simple chords, triadic chords, kind of in a pattern like this. So I'm just doing this thing with the left hand. In the right hand, really, it can be boiled down to triads. Actually, when I looked at all of the left-hand patterns I did in that video, a lot of it was just me using triads and kind of planing them, which is a word you can use over different keys. The basic thing I'm doing with this is just playing the chords that go along with each one and pulsing them in a rhythm like this. But then when I started improvising, and I kind of like to draw from like some blues material and that kind of thing, I'll use different triads that are from outside of C major. So rather than just like C and A minor and G and F, which are in that key, I'll use E flat triad, for instance, E flat major triad. So I'll do a move kind of like this. So over that F chord, when I use that E flat triad, I'm going E flat triad, then down to D minor, then down to like a C minor. And it gives us this kind of bluesy sort of sound, right? Because it's using this minor third. So it's taking it outside of the key a little bit and kind of turning that F into more of like a sus sound. So like an E flat triad over F. And in the video I did something kind of like this too, where I included a little chromatic walk up. When you get to the F, you can walk up chromatic like that, A, B flat, B to C. And then I added the E flat triad thing over the top like this. So the whole thing put together. And so I added something else you can do there too, where if you take this sort of C minor and you do E flat down to C, D, E flat, C, D, and then you go on G over G and D, you do B flat and D, then down to A and G like this, and then you take that down to keyboard. That's another cool like bluesy thing you can add to that progression. The second pattern is this boogie woogie left hand pattern, kind of like this. So with the right hand, what you want to do is include some of that bluesy stuff. Kind of like in the Billy Joel thing, you can also use that E flat triad thing that goes down kind of the scale like this. So if you do something kind of like this. What I'm doing is playing E flat triad again with D, but then I'm not just going down straight to C minor. Sometimes I'm throwing in that E natural. So it's kind of going from this minor to major sound. So E flat, E minor, to C. That's one thing I'm doing. Something else that really works in this style really well is taking just a triad, so like a C major triad up at the top, and kind of pulsing it in eighth notes, kind of like Jerry Lee Lewis style, like I talked about before. And you can also throw in that minor third a little bit and kind of use it as a grace note, so you'll get something like this. And you can do this E, this from major third going chromatically down to C, so you can go E, E flat, D to C, kind of like a... So if you put that with the left hand pattern, it's kind of like this. Don't be afraid to use these kind of crunchy like half steps either. Like if you put the E and the E flat together. or the D and E flat. All sound really good, and it'll give your right hand something really awesome to do. The third pattern is a stride left hand pattern, which goes kind of like this. So I'm playing 1, 6, 2, 5, so that's F to D minor to G minor to C and then back, so and looping that over and over again. What you can do with your right hand is based on triads as well, just like all the other patterns. So if you take just the basic chords, if you treat the first chord as an F major, like F major 6, so you play this chord with your right hand, and then you can keep that for the D minor if you want, and then play like sort of a G minor thing, and then a C thing or a C sus if you keep this B flat triad over the top. And then if you use little chromatic movements. So I like to do a thing where I sort of hint at a C major triad going chromatically down to the G minor. So it might be kind of like this. So it gives you this little chromatic flavor that gets you to that 2 chord. So here I'll throw it into context. You can hear what I'm talking about. The other thing to keep in mind is basically anything you can do that's within the octave. So if you just take your hands, if you can reach an octave comfortably, which I can, you can do like an F right here. Basically, any notes you can throw in within an octave's reach, you can use and then just use in little chromatic ways. So. The fourth pattern is walking tenths in the left hand, and the right hand kind of can do similar to what it was doing with the stride progression, but a lot of times you have to be careful of, sort of contrapuntally what you're doing, because when you're just playing stride with a bass note and a chord in the left hand, there isn't as much of a moving bass line. You can get away with more chromaticism. But if I'm playing a walking tenth line like this, so I'm implying a move of F, G minor, to like G sharp diminished, then to F, then to B flat. The right hand can't get in the way of that. If I do something that's too chromatic that doesn't fit that implied progression, it's not going to work. Basically what you want to do, unless you're just holding like an F, there's really 2 things you can do. You can either play that progression along with it. So if I'm thinking F, G minor, G sharp diminished, then to F, then to B flat. So in time, or you could just do something like hold an F, because an F will work over every one of those chords, and you could do it sort of in like a tremolo up top like this. There's another one of those little triadic chromatic things. So I did it over B flat. If you think B flat 7, you have a G minor triad, then going down chromatic to an F minor. Just like that. The fifth pattern is a New Orleans kind of style pattern, and I'm from Louisiana, so it's something that I love playing very much. And it's this like left hand triadic thing, which goes like this. So when you add your right hand into this pattern, you can kind of take some hints from the left hand. So the left hand is doing this really kind of simple rolling thing just on a C triad, on the triads of each chord. So I'm going from C to G. So what you do with the right hand, if you kind of do, kind of like I talked about before in one of the other patterns, if you take a C triad, in any inversion you want to do it, but if you do it in this inversion, you can add that E flat again like I was doing before, and you can do a move like this. So what I'm doing is going down those notes, so G, E, E flat, C, and G, and then going down to an F, and then enclosing the E natural chromatically. So that could be a good way to like pick it up. So if I'm gonna like start a measure before and then go into that progression, kind of like this. You may recognize that from a very famous New Orleans song called Big Chief by Professor Longhair, and he does a similar thing, but he actually uses a slightly different chord, which you can do as well. You can just use a C like I was doing, but if you change those notes, you can do an augmented triad, which makes it really cool and adds a different flavor. So if you're over the G and you want to go into a C chord, you can use G, B natural, E flat, and G at the top. Play that same lick. We'll end it the same way, enclosing the E natural. So you could do it like this. I hope you guys have enjoyed checking out these right hand patterns with me. Just been a brief look at them really. If you have any other questions about them or there's anything else you'd like me to elaborate on in another video, please comment below. Thanks so much for watching.